Welcome to this Audacity tutorial for beginners. This is a tutorial for those people who don't know how to use Audacity or just getting started but don't know how to proceed. So if you think like producing audiobooks, voiceover, content creation or podcast using Audacity, this tutorial will be you. I'll be covering lots of things in Audacity. For example, how to select the microphone for recording, how to record your voice, how to get an audio file from that recording, how to clean it up, how to process that recording, and how to use Audacity effectively for professional audio quality. All those things will be covered in this video. So let's get started. So the first thing we will learn is how to use Audacity for recording, how you can record your voice. Recording in Audacity is quite simple. You can see a red record button here. If you press it, then the recording starts and you can see your audio waveform in the timeline. So the recording has been started once you click on this red record button. But that is not the way to record your voice in Audacity. You have to take care of certain things before you record, because your audio quality, final audio quality, will depend on how good recording quality you have. So the first thing you have to do is to make sure that your correct device is selected for recording. So how you can do that? You can see that in the audio setup button. If you go to audio setup, you can see there is a option recording device. In the recording device, you will see a list of microphones connected to your computer. If you don't see your connected microphone to this list, what you have to do, you have to click on this rescan audio devices. If you click on audio devices, rescan audio devices, then Audacity will recognize all the microphone connected to your computer. And then from recording device, you will select your recording device, select your microphone. So for me, you can see the Scarlett 2i2 USB has been selected. This Scarlett 2i2 USB is not the microphone for me. My microphone is this one, Sennheiser E845, but this microphone is connected to an audio interface, that is the Scarlett 2i2 USB. So if I select the Scarlett 2i2 USB, this microphone or any microphone connected to that audio interface will be selected for recording. You may be using a USB microphone. In that case, you will see another name on this list. You select that name and that will be selected for recording. So selecting a microphone is just clicking on the list. For example, let's say I want to use the MacBook Pro microphone. What I will do, I will click on this, and now if I go to audio setup, I can see in the recordings device the MacBook Pro microphone is selected. So that is how you are going to select your microphone. So I am going to use the Scarlett 2i2 USB. I'll click on that. Now selecting microphone in this way has a downside. The downside is you actually cannot see which microphone is now selected for recording. Obviously you can go to audio setup and check from recording device, but it is not showing in front of us always that which microphone has been selected. Audacity has a good way to show that, and you can see that from view toolbars and this device toolbar. If you select the device toolbar, you will see a new toolbar has appeared and you can see the microphone, selected microphone from this drop down. So this toolbar will always show you which microphone you have been selected, and this is good for preventing mistakes with recording in a wrong microphone, because many people record a long session with the wrong microphone, not selecting the proper one, and then figure out that they have recorded with the wrong microphone once the recording session ends. So that is quite frustrating. So you have selected the microphone. The next thing you will be do is set the recording channel. You can see the recording channel is in this drop down, or two options here, mono and stereo. You can also see that option in audio setup, recording device, recording channels, and here mono and stereo. For me, the mono recording channel has been selected, and for voiceover, mono is fine. You do not need to use a stereo. A stereo will make the recording a bit complicated, because when you record your audio in a stereo channel, then sometimes there can happen that there is only audio only on side of the headphone. Those kind of issue can arise if you don't know what you have to do with the stereo or if it is not set up correctly. So to avoid the complications, select the mono recording channel. For me it is selected because the tick mark is beside the mono recording channel. So I have selected the microphone, I have selected the recording channel, and then the next thing would be to check my audio settings. So the audio settings is here. Generally you do not have to do anything on the audio settings, but for uh, good practice you can check actually if the proper project sample rate and the default sample rate is format is selected. For example, the project sample rate should be 44.1 kilohertz, that is by default, and you do not need to change this. Many people change this thing without knowing actually what they are changing and why they are changing those things. So you do not need to change this project sample rate. Always keep to 44.1 kilohertz. That is good for voiceover, audiobook, or any kind of voiceover you can think of. If you choose project sample rate greater than 44, then these values, especially like, something like 96,000 or 192,000, if you set project sample rate this much, then it will take too much space on your hard disk. So there is no additional benefit for voiceover to use these project sample rates. And contrary to on the other side, if you choose sample rate like 8,000 hertz or 16,000 hertz, your audio quality may not be that good. So the optimal range is 44.1 kilohertz, and you use that. Then is the default sample format. The default format should be 32-bit float. You should not change actually that. If you choose the default sample format as 32-bit float, then you will have more headroom in your recording and your audio will not be clipped or distorted easily. And to make things simple, so you do not need to change that. I have discussed all these things because sometimes you will find tutorials where they have gone to great length on configuring all those things with the different settings, but those are not applicable for a simple voiceover. So just keep in mind that. So all these things are set. I'll click OK. And then the last thing before recording, you have to check is your recording level. You can see 2 meters here, and if I click on this is record meter. If I click on this mic icon, then and if I enable silent monitoring, you can see that my current recording level is displayed here. The green bar, the green thing that is moving, that is my current level. So you have to follow a kind of common practice to get a good level in your recording, that is between -18 to -6, and you can actually make this meter bigger just by dragging this thing. The bottom one is the playback meter and the top one is the record meter. So you should not, during recording you should try to stay between -18 to -6 in this meter. If you try to record more than -6, actually if you get too close to 0, then you will see the level will become red, and that can lead to distortion or clipping, this kind of thing. I will just get too close to the microphone and you will see that now the voice, you can see that this is happening, that I am in the red region. Sometimes if I get too close or if I talk too loudly, then sometimes that can happen. So those are the things you have to avoid so that you can get a clean audio. So if you are between -18 to -6, you are okay most of the time. Okay, so this is the recording level, and if it is okay, then you are finally proceed to record. And another thing is this icon. This is the your playback device, or the one you will be used to listen to your audio. Yeah, this one is selected now as my MacBook Pro speakers. And if I record and play my audio, then I will listen to this device. But before playing this audio, I can change to another device if I want. And if you are not using the live monitoring, then this playback device is not important. So what do I mean by live monitoring? Well, if you go to transport and if you go to transport options, then you can see options like enable audible input monitoring. If you have these option on, then during recording your audio will also be played back, and this will be played back through the device you select on the playback device. So some people kind of monitor their audio while they are recording, and if this is the option you are going to select if you are going to live monitor your audio. But we are not going to monitor our audio live through headphone, so we will not select this one, and there is no reason for you for recording simple voiceover to use this option. But just I have I have shown you this option, so you know, if you ever feel that you want to use the live monitoring in Audacity, you can use this option. Okay, so all those options are now set, and I will now start recording the audio. So how we will do that, I will just click on this red record button and the waveform will appear. So you can see the waveform is appearing. So let's record something. This is a beginner level Audacity tutorial, and if you have any questions regarding beginner level Audacity or audio editing in general, please comment on the video. And once you have recorded your audio, you can click on this stop icon and you can see the recording has stopped. So this is the waveform, and this is called the timeline. You can see the times before this, above this timeline. So you can select the audio. You can if you want to remove something, you can just select and delete. So these are the things you can. This timeline is kind of text editor. The way you edit text, you kind of you can edit the audio. You can edit audio in this timeline, and this is called the waveform. And this waveform is the visual representation of our audio, and just looking at the waveform and different parameters of this waveform can give us some idea actually how our audio is. So we'll learn those things eventually. So for now, let's say you have now done a record, you have now completed the recording and you want to get an audio file from it. And there is one thing you have to notice, that this is not a audio file. This is something recorded inside Audacity, and if I go to file and if I click on save, then this is a save project option, and this save project option will be used to select a Audacity file. Let me show you that. If I click on save project, then two options appear if I want to save it to cloud or if I want to save it to my computer. For now, at the beginning, I do not advise to use the cloud option, and you can click on this, remember my choice, and then click on save to computer. Then these options will not appear and it will ask you to save on your computer always. So save to your computer, and when you click on save to your computer, it will ask for which place you want to save your recording. So I'll choose a folder, and that is Audacity projects in the desktop, and I have to give a name. Let's say the demo project YouTube, and you can see the file types. This is op3 file. This is not an audio file. Let's see. If I click on save, it is saved. So the demo project YouTube is saved, and if I go to the folder where I have saved that, I can see that is inside Audacity project and demo project YouTube. This way, this is the file. So if I now close Audacity and double click on this file, this project will open. Let me show you that. Okay. So you can see the same recording has been opened on my Audacity. So this is a Audacity project. This is not an audio file. If you want an audio file, for example, MP3 or WAV or any other format, then you have to export this audio file. How you can export this? You can go to File, and then you can click Export Audio. And in the Export Audio, you can select like how you want this audio to be formatted. You can give a file name. It has by default it has given me the project name. I think that is okay. And then you have to select a folder where you want to save this. So let's say in the desktop, I will be save this inside the training folder. Okay, so this is the folder, and then the format. So format can be WAV or MP3, the one you need or prefer. And in my earlier stage, I will use the wave format when I am sending this audio to someone that is not a finished project yet. I'm sending someone for looking at my file or doing some project work, then I will use the wave format. Wave is a lossless format, so no audio data will be lost or it will be uncompressed in this wave format. So if I toss this audio around in several computers to other people and in other projects, then my audio data will be as it is. And when I am finally ready to upload my audio, then I can choose the MP3 option, but for now I'll choose the wave. So these are the option, and I will click on export. And if I now go to the training folder, we can see that wave file will be there. So this is my training folder, and we can see that this is the audio file, demo project YouTube. So this is how you can record and you can export your audio. Now, if you want to play this audio from any place, what you can do, you can click on that part. You can see when I click, then a black vertical line appears, and if I click on the play icon, then the audio will start playing from that point. This is a beginner level Audacity tutorial, and if you have any questions regarding, so you listen to the audio and the recording level seems quite low compared to my narration, because my narration is edited and processed, but the original recording is not edited and processed yet. So I'll show you those process one by one. So the first thing is I'll show you the processing, how you can get a record and how to make it better. So in the next part of this tutorial, I'll show you how to process your recording, and for processing we'll use audio effects. If you go to the effect menu, you can see there are several effects here, like volume and compression. These are grouped by the task they do: noise removal and repair, EQ and filters, many of these things. So we'll cover all those things one by one. So, and these the effects, these effects from volume and compression to legacy, these are built-in Audacity effects. If you install Audacity, you will get these effects, and there are also some effects between this line, like Account Digital and something like that. These are third-party effects. So I have installed these effects outside of Audacity. So for now, you do not need to think about those third-party effects yet. You can just concentrate on the default Audacity effects we have, and you can listen, you can learn to how to use these effects first, and then you can move to third-party effects and other advanced uses of Audacity. So in the next part of this video, I'll show you how to make your sound better from this recording using the Audacity built-in effects. And if you want some courses on Audacity, then you can look at my Audacity bundle. This is my Audacity bundle. In Audacity bundle, I have beginner level course, I have advanced level course, and I have some macro or tools that will make your sound better in just a click. So all those things are in this Audacity bundle. I'll share the link. You can also have a training, live training from me, Audacity Mastery training. That is a group program, and the next batch will start on the 14th October. So if you are watching this video before that, you can take part in this group call, or even I regularly conduct this kind of sessions, this kind of live training. So keep an eye on this link for the next session or next batch starts. I will share all the link in the description. So now let's head back to Audacity and let's go to the next part of this video, where I will show you how to make your sound better after you have recorded. In this video, I am going to show you a very simple process on how to make your sound better using Audacity. So whatever your purpose is, professional voiceover, audiobook narration, content creation voiceover, or podcast, you can make your recording way better using the process I am going to show you. This is a 5-step process, and there are actually 2 ways to use this process. The first way is kind of automatic, and the second way is manual. So you configure everything manually. I will show you the process in detail. So first, let me show you how the automatic process works. So this is a recording, this is a raw recording, and if I play it, we can understand how it is sounding now.
Some people claim that all aerators are created equal. Well, we beg to differ. Ranch works past.
Well, you have listened to the raw recording and the volume seems quite low. And I will process this recording just in a click. So see how I do that. I'll select, double click this, and then I'll go to apply macro and select a macro, for example, clear vocal, and the audio has improved just in a click. So let's listen to it a bit.
Some people claim that all aerators are created equal. Well, we beg to differ. Ranchworks pasture aerators are engineered with forward.
So you can see that with just a click, I have improved the audio a lot, and it is not just increasing the volume. It is increasing the volume and also adjusting the loudness and the balance and EQ, all those things. It has been done in just a click using that macro. So either you can build the macro on your own, or you can use the macro I have already built. In case you are interested to using that macro, you can go to this page and I have this EQs and macro pack. I have 11 different macros and you can use those to make your sound better. So I'll give this link to the description if you are interested on the macro. Also, you can look at the Audacity bundle. The Audacity bundle has those macros and some Audacity courses, and also I provide personal feedback through the courses in the Audacity bundle. So I'll give all the links in the description. If you want, you can check. So let's get back to the Audacity and see the process how to make it better manually. So I'll get back to the original recording. This is the original recording. And this is a 5-step process. The first step is to normalize the audio. The normalize means setting the peak level of the audio. So how do you normalize? You select the audio, you go to effect, and then you go to volume and compression, and then you select normalize. In normalize, you can see the default setting is like this. So in the default settings, we'll just change this peak amplitude. The peak amplitude is -3, -1 here, but we'll set it to -3. So why -3? Because that is the ACX standard. ACX is for audiobook, but you can use that for voiceover. And if you use the ACX standard, then you have a kind of way to measure your audio quality. Before applying this normalize, just see where it stands in terms of ACX. So I have selected the audio and I go to analyze and I go to ACX check, and in ACX check we can see the peak level is -12.78 and the RMS is -32.96, and both are these are too low and too quiet. So we will process the audio and at the end we will get the audio passing all these checks. If your audio passes all these checks in this ACX check, then your audio is kind of technically good. Of course, you have to listen to it to truly measure how your audio is sounding. But if you pass these checks, then your audio is good technically. So as I said, the first step is to use the normalize. I'll go to normalize again. And if I set the peak amplitude as -3, then the peak will be set as -3. You will see that when I set the peak amplitude, the volume of the audio can increase or decrease depending on where it is now. For example, for this audio through the ACX check, we see the peak was -12. And if I set the peak to -3, that will mean that from -12 it is getting to -3. So a 9 dB increase in the peak for this recording. Not every recording will follow this exact amount. Sometimes your peak may be high before you apply the normalize effect. So in that case, the audio will shrink and the volume will decrease. So whatever the case is, you just apply the normalize to -3 and your audio will be on a standard level. So you can see for this audio, the volume has increased and we can see that through the increase in height in this waveform. So if I go to now ACX check, we can see the peak is now -3, the RMS is now increased and which is -28.18, but exactly not passing in this range. So we still need a bit of work on this. I will show you the process. And the first step was normalize. The second step is noise reduction. And noise reduction may not be necessary depending on the type of audio you have. For this audio, noise reduction is not extremely necessary at this point because the noise floor is passing, but we will take the noise a bit down, and sometimes you may have a loud hissing noise. So in that case, you will need to use the noise reduction in Audacity. So let me show you how to use the noise reduction in Audacity. To use the noise reduction in Audacity, your first step would be to select a part where you have only noise, no talking parts, only noise. For example, the beginning of this audio, it has just noise, and I'll select that and I'll go to effect and volume and compression and noise removal and repair and noise reduction. So noise reduction is a two-step process. At the first step, you select the noise and you give input to Audacity that this is the noise. Whenever you find a noise like this, you have to remove that. So you can do that by clicking on the get noise profile. Now Audacity has a record of how my noise looks. The second step would be to select all the audio and go to noise reduction again. In this step, you will configure all these sliders. So how much noise you want to reduce, that is the noise reduction slider. Then the sensitivity means how aggressive the algorithm will be to reduce noise. If you set the sensitivity too high, then Audacity will remove noise as soon as it gets a hint of that. But you do not want set the aggression mode, the algorithm, as aggressive as that, because that will actually make your sound quite harsh and quite thin. So sensitivity of 6 works well. And then there is the frequency smoothing bands. Frequency smoothing band means that when you reduce the noise, then there is a gap is introduced on your audio, and frequency smoothing bands reduces that gap. So that is the job of the frequency smoothing bands. And for voice recording, the value of 6 works well. So if you are, as we are working with voice recording, we'll use the frequency smoothing band 6. So both the sensitivity and the frequency smoothing band should be 6, and the noise reduction slider, the amount of noise you want to reduce, should not cross 12. So ideal value is 6 on all these three fields, but sometimes just reducing the 6 dB of noise may not be enough. So in that case, you need to increase it to 12. So you have to use the noise reduction value between 6 to 12, depending on how much noise you want to reduce. If you have to use anything greater than 12, then you have to think about your recording strategy, because your recording room may be generating more noise than should be in an ideal recording situation. So I'll be using these settings. I'll click OK. And if I go to ACX check again, we can see that the noise is now decreased from before. It was around -60 before, and now it is -72 because I have reduced 12 dB noise. Okay. So we have done two processes, normalize and noise reduction, and we have 3 more process left. And if you want a PDF guide of that process, you can get through from this PDF guide, from this document. There is a link in the description. You give your email and I will send you this document, and here all the process are described with screenshots. So let's get back to the Audacity. So we have used two effects, normalize, noise reduction, and now it is the time to use the third effect, which is EQ. And EQ is a quite complex, but we can use a simple EQ to start. For example, we can go to EQ and filters and then filter curve EQ. And this is the default EQ. That is actually, this line is at 0 dB and these are the frequency. So no frequency are altered with this one. So we have to use some kind of preset, or we have to configure this. The standard on would be to use the low roll up for speech. If you use that, you can see that there has been a cut in the frequency from 80 Hz and below. So why is that? Well, there is no frequency in our voice, in our talking, below 80 Hz. So if you cut off the frequency below 80 Hz, then what happens? It can reduce the noise, the low frequency noise, if there is any. So this is called a high pass filter, and it is kind of effective in voice recording. So I can adjust this dot to reduce the frequency, reduce the volume from 80 Hz, and in people's voice there are no frequency below 80 Hz. So if you say 80 Hz cutoff, then all the frequency below 80 Hz will take down if there are any low frequency noise. So this is a good point to start, and this is called a high pass filter. There are also different strategy to change the tone of your voice using this EQ. For example, there is EQ like this. If you give a small boost on the higher frequency areas after 4 kilohertz or 6 kilohertz, then your audio will sound crisp and clear, but it also can increase the sibilance of your voice, so you have to be careful. And there are other complex scenarios where we can use the EQ, but as this is a beginner friendly tutorial, I will just use the high pass filter and I will not use any other modification for now. So I'll just can drag this dot out of this box and those are gone. So I am just using a high pass filter, and this is a good starting point for beginners. I'll apply this. So the EQ is done. So we have now applied 3 effects: normalize, noise reduction, and EQ. And then the next effect is compressor, and compressor can be found from effect, voice effect, volume and compression, and the compressor. So what does this compressor actually does? The compressor reduces the dynamic range. Dynamic range means the gap between your loud talks and soft talks. So when the gap is too much, then all the parts of your recording may not be heard clearly or smoothly. And if you reduce the dynamic range using a compressor, then all the parts can be heard equally. So to use the compressor, you can use a preset from factory preset. Go to lead vocals. As this is a voiceover, the default settings of the lead vocals will be quite okay for most of the recording. So when I use lead vocals, then all the look ahead, attack, and release, all these parts are okay. I do not have to do anything for this. I only need to adjust the threshold and the ratio. Makeup gain and new it is also okay when I use lead vocals for voiceover. And what does the threshold means? The threshold means whenever your audio crosses -14 on the meter, then the compressor will be active. So this is the activation point. So if I set the threshold to -25, so whenever your audio will cross the -25, the compressor is active. So it kind of dictates that how long or how frequent the compressor will be active. So the higher the value set, the less the compressor will be active. So for voice recording, you can use something between -12 to -20. For this recording, I'll use -15. So sometimes you may need to use some trial and error for this threshold and the ratio. So keep in mind, the lower the threshold, the more compression will be done, because more of your audio segments will be in compressor active area. And then the ratio, for ratio you should use something between 2 to 4 for voice recording. So the higher the ratio, the more compression will be done. And we do not use too much compression, because too much compression will make the audio feel unnatural. So I'll be using something like 2.5 or 3 is okay. So something between 2 to 3 is my recommended compressor settings, depending on how much compression you want. So I'll be using 2.7. This is the compressor settings I'll be using for this audio. And if you have a overly balanced audio, overly balanced recording, this compressor will do the trick, these compressor settings. You can adjust other settings a bit depending on your need, and when you need to adjust, you will understand by looking at the RMS. If there is too much increase in the RMS, then your compressor setting is quite aggressive and you have to go back. You have to undo that compressor settings and apply a gentler compressor. If the RMS change is too high, then you are using a quite aggressive compressor settings, and you have to undo the compressor and use a different settings. So let's apply these and let's see how it affects the RMS. So I applied the compressor, and you can see that some of the waveform has shrunk. That means the compressor has compressed those parts. And if I now go to ACX check, I can now see the updated reading. So we can see the RMS is now -25 and the peak is -7, which was -3 before. So what the compressor has done, the compressor has actually tamed the peak values, and that is not a problem. Compressor will do that. That is the side effect of the compressor. So what we will do, we will just use the normalize effect again. As the last step, I'll use the normalize, and that is to -3. I'll apply, I'll go to ACX check, and now you can see that all the values are now passing for this recording, and this recording is now quite good to listen to. Just listen to it a couple of seconds.
Some people claim that all aerators are created equal. Well, we beg to differ. RanchWorks Pastor aerators are engineered with forged ranch tech.
So you can see that you can use this manual process to make your sound better. This is a 5-step process. It is a very good starting point for improving any voiceover. So you can follow this, and you can also take the PDF guide from the link in the description. And if you want the macros and Audacity courses, you will also find link on that. I also have several Audacity training, and if you want to get into detail of learning Audacity from me, you can also enroll on those training. The training dates are depending on when you are watching this video. You may find that there is a upcoming training, so I'll also give that link. Please check those, and I think you will find something. We will now see how to edit your audio in Audacity, or how to navigate around this software. And it is a very important skill. The more confident you are in editing your audio, the more confident you are navigating around Audacity, the better your performance will be. And it is very important that you know what you are doing. So let's see some scenarios, some editing scenarios, some navigation scenarios. Then you will know how to actually use Audacity very confidently. The first thing is, sometimes you will make mistakes in your recording and you need to remove those parts. And it is very easy to remove any parts in Audacity. You just drag your mouse. Let's say this is a repeated part. I have dragged and this is now selected. And if I now click the delete button in my keyboard, this audio will be deleted. You see, those part in the waveform is now gone. And if you accidentally delete something but you want that back, you can do undo, Control Z or Command Z in Mac, or you can go to edit and then you can see that undo delete button. So this is how you delete and undo delete in Audacity. And sometimes you may want to copy some part of your audio in another parts. Let's say you want to copy this part of the audio to in another place in this waveform. Like before, you drag this to select that part, and then you can right click and you can see the copy option. It is Command C or Control C. Copy this part, and then you place your mouse or cursor to the place where you want to paste. Let's say I want to paste it in this place. I'll place it, and once again right click and you can see the option to paste, or I can just use the keyboard shortcut paste. So you can see that part is now copied here. So this is how you can copy paste and delete your audio around Audacity. But sometimes the copy paste behavior may not be similar what you have seen on my screen. And if that is the case, then you have to check the preference. So let's check that. I'll undo this. Okay. In Audacity, go to preference, and then you go to track behaviors. Okay. Inside track and inside track behaviors, you will see there is an option like always paste audio as new clips, or option like editing a clip can move other clips. When these options are selected, then the copy paste behavior will be a bit different. Let's see how it affects. Let's say I checked this always paste audio as new clips and then click OK. And if I now paste the audio, you can see it is saying that there is not enough room available to paste the selection. So when those options are on, then you have to make sure that another option regarding the pasting clips are also on. That is, the editing a clip can move other clips. And if I click on select this and OK. And now if I paste, let's see what happens. You can see it is now appearing and it has actually created another clip. So in any part I try to paste, this kind of clip things will happen. So based on your Audacity preference, you can see this behavior. Usually I do not use the clip pasting system, so I actually keep this unchecked. But if you're seeing a different behavior in your copy paste, you can use that option. Okay. And when these clips are appearing, these are separate clips, and you can actually join these clips by selecting these parts, and then you can go to edit, and then you go to audio clips, and then you can see join. When you do that, then all the clips will be joined and it will appear as a on clip or on track. So that is how you can join clips. And sometimes you need to see very detail of the waveform. On such case, you have to zoom in, and zoom in is very simple. You can see there is a zoom in icon. If you click that, then the zoom in will happen. Or you can also zoom out, and you can, if you think that you need to see the waveform, the full waveform on the screen, you can use these options. This is fit selection to width. If you do that, okay, and this one is fit project to width. Okay, so this one, the fit project to width, if you select that, then everything, the full waveform will appear on this, on your screen. And this option, the fit selection to width, that happens like this. If you select something and if you use this fit selection to width, then it will appear only the selected part will take the full screen. Let's see that. You can see the part I just selected has appeared on that screen. Okay, this is also, there is also a zoom toggle button. This is the button I'm talking about. So let's say I double clicked and it has been zoomed here, and if I just use this zoom toggle, then it will actually help me to get the primary shape of the waveform. So this is how you navigate around, and you can copy paste or zoom in into a waveform. There is also another thing in the waveform, that is, there is also another thing in the toolbar, that is the making silence. You select some part and then you click on this silence audio selection. If you do that, then those audio become dead silent, and I can show it from this waveform. So this is waveform, and if I just select this silence audio selection, then you can see everything has become completely silent. And if I play this out, there will be nothing appearing on the waveform. But sometimes you have to be careful about this silence audio selection, because if you do that, it will become dead selection. If I do not, for example, in this part, this is only the room noise, I have not talked here, but if I play something, then something appears on the meter. But if I silence this, then you will see that nothing is appearing on the meter, and these has become dead silent. And sometimes those kind of dead silence are problematic. If you are thinking about producing audiobooks in ACX, or if you are doing any voiceover work, sometimes this dead silence are not accepted. So you have to be a bit careful when are using this silence audio selection button. And this button, the trim audio selection outside, trim audio outside selection, that is when you select that, and when you use this button, everything beside this will become silent. You can see all the other parts has become silent, are actually gone, and you just only left with what you have selected. I'll undo this with Command Z or Control Z. Let's see some other use cases of Audacity navigation. One of these is copying the track or duplicating the track. That is very easy. You double click to select the track, and then you go to edit, and you can see there is option called duplicate. If you click on that, then the track has been duplicated as in another track. And when you have multiple tracks, you can actually make any track mute or solo. That means only one of that track will be active if you solo it. For example, if I click solo here, you can see only the first track, top track is active, the bottom has become inactive. Or I can click on solo here, so this one become active. There is also another option, mute. If you mute, click on mute, then that track will be muted. So these are the different options. Sometimes you may want to listen something in a loop. You can do that easily. Let's say I'll follow this track and I want to listen to this part in loop, and if I just play it, record something, it is just played once. But if I enable this loop button, enable looping, and you can see this looping boundaries appearing here, and if I now play, listen to it how it sounds, record something, record something, record something. So you can see that it is now playing on loop. I can undo this. Let's now see an interesting option of how to record your audio when you already have a track inside Audacity. For example, I'll disable this, and only this track I have only this track already recorded, and now I want to record another track. So if I now click on this record button, you can see that the audio is appearing beside this track, but I do not want to another clip after this first track. I want actually another track. How I can do that? Okay, my microphone is selected, this one will be correct. Okay, so to record the audio in another track, I have to click on this shifter. You can, if I take my mouse to the red record button, you can see there is option in the tooltip, record new track, that is shifter. And if I press shifter, you will see that I have started recording the audio in a new track, but it is appearing at the end of this track. So how I can do that? I can actually remove this. If I want to record from beginning, I have to click at the front of the waveform at the place I want to record, and then if I press Shift R, then you can see the recording is appearing at the bottom of the first track. So this is how you record in the second track. And once again, how your Audacity preferences set can define this behavior. For example, when I click the record button, the audio is appearing on the end of the first track, but we can actually modify this behavior. If I go to Audacity preferences, and if I check the recording, then you can see there is option record on a new track. If I select that, and in this case, if I now click this record button, you can see the recording is appearing on a new track, because that I have set in preference. And if I want to record something on the end of this first track, I have to click on shifter. So it is, you can see it is opposite of what I have done before. What I was doing before, I was using shift R to record in a new track, but the behavior now has been reversed. So you can actually control these things from the preference, or if things are not appearing the way I'm showing in this video, you can actually select or unselect this based on your preference. So okay, if you want a detailed guide or detailed learning experience in Audacity, you can take my Audacity courses. My Audacity courses are in the Audacity bundle. If you go to the Audacity bundle, then you can see you will get courses, Audacity courses. You will also get macros. With the macros, you can make your sound better in just a click. You will also get a custom EQ and a macro that is based on your voice. You will also get personalized help on audio editing, 2 sessions, each session 30 minutes long. So in the 30-minute sessions, you will book a call with me, and then we'll go through your audio, and then I'll give you some suggestions, and based on that you can improve and you can have another session. This is a bonus, this personalized help on audio editing. This is just bonus. So I am not sure how long I'll give this option. So if you are watching this video right now, then you can get all these things just for 197. You can go to the bottom of this page and click on add to cart. Then you go to checkout and you place your order. So that's how you can get this Audacity bundle with all those bonuses if you purchase right now while you are watching this video. Thanks for watching.